Hello. It's Nadine here, and I'm here with this week's guest on life, health, and the universe. And today I'm joined by Waveney Ayscough. Welcome, Waveney. It's great to have you here. Finally,
Hello.
have an excuse to catch up. We've had some technical hiccups, but we are here and we are ready to get stuck in. So let me do my quick intro of you, Wave. Waveney, you are mum of two beauties. You have a background as a horticulturalist, so you're very in touch with the earth and nature, I feel. You've currently become the president of United Hospital Auxiliary, so you're raising money for the hospital, so you've got some charitable stuff going on. Currently working in the hospital. You're a survivor of breast cancer.
Yeah.
We're kind of touching on some bases here that are going to be like points of conversation. But the reason that we are ultimately here today is to talk about what you've been doing lately as a singer and musician, because you've just made your first album. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation. It's been a while, Crocodile. And I'm looking forward to. Thank you for finally accepting the invitation and getting on here. So let's hand over to you and tell us a little bit about you, Wave, and then we'll get stuck into talking a little bit about your personal evolution over the last few years.
Oh, it's not much to tell about me. I've always loved plants. I've always loved to sing. I never stopped singing as a child, and it drove my family crazy. I live in a fantasy world in my head, really, most of the time. I feel like I always wanted to sing in musicals. I wanted to be Julie Andrews, that sort of thing. And my brother and his wife started a band, and I got to be backing vocalist in that. And I did love it very much. I loved the dress-ups, glitter. But I never felt like I was good enough and, just couldn't sort of make the cut. But then I realized later on that listening and trying to sing other people's music when it didn't suit the voice I'd been given, I think. So I would make up my own songs, but I wouldn't sing them to anyone. And eventually, like many years later, started to get a bit more confidence in myself and just thought, fuck the world. Breast cancer probably did that too. And I did release my own album at 50. So I'm quite impressed with myself only because I did something that I said I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, but it was really good for me. I feel like a peace inside me because I've completed something and it will be there forever. If anything happens to me, it's still going to be there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's really great. It's so great to see this kind of come to fruition, because it's like you said, like we've known each other for around 3 years, I think. Bumped into each other at school. And when our kids were there together, and I've seen this, journey, and we're all on these journeys, right? But there's been this massive evolution of Wave for Wave, and it's
coming out of the
interesting,
shell,
isn't it? Because people see the end product, and you hear this story a lot of the time. People see the end product, and they're like, "Oh, Wave, you're amazing. This music's fantastic," but you've been through a shit ton of stuff that's kind of been part of that process of you creating this music, and not all of it's been very good.
No.
Right?
But the thing is, people see you, but they don't really see you. That's even one of my songs, Give It to the Sea, is pretty much that. I see you, but do you see me? And I felt like that for so long because I was quite fat and frumpy and downtrodden and submissive, I suppose, just a people pleaser, still am, but I felt invisible to the world, to the other mums, everywhere I went, I was just a nothing. And I knew I had all these special gifts, but why would anyone be interested when you're not beautiful or perfect or, you know, I don't know, a presence to be reckoned with, I suppose. Nobody sees you. And I just started to, I don't know, I just started to sort of claim back my spirituality, I suppose, sort of go back to my roots, realizing that nobody else really cares. And I started to exercise, you know, and it was a very slow process because I didn't like it. But and I suffered from severe depression, and it was all rolled up together. I had, you know, I didn't sleep well. I drank too much because I was so depressed, because I wasn't me, because I was denying myself who I was, I suppose. And I just thought, okay, just start walking, you know, and I picked up this Michelle Bridges DVD, intermittent, what is it called? Intermittent,
I have no
I don't know,
idea.
when you do something really fast and then you rest and do it again.
Yeah, like interval
Training, or whatever it is. And she said, you won't get through the whole thing, but it was designed to get through a little bit at a time and do what you could. So I'd do it and my kids would laugh at me and I'd be dead at the end. But I started to feel this inner peace from the exercise that didn't come from anywhere else. And it was what I was looking for my whole life. It didn't come from anywhere else but music, really. And I just felt so relaxed and I kept doing it and doing it. And I loved how my body started to shape, how it felt strong. And then people start to see you. And it's just like, oh, you know, because you look nicer on the outside. Or maybe because you've got a light from inside. I don't know. But then all these things happened. I felt a lot better. I had lost all this weight, and then I found this lump in my chest, in my boobs, and it was breast cancer. So, you know, I felt like that was my dad up in heaven sort of pointing it out, because I told my sister to get herself checked, and she had a worse aggressive cancer in her as well. So both my sister and I were diagnosed within months of each other. And she had to go through chemo and things like that.
Wow.
But so anyway, yeah, that's the start of that one. But after breast cancer, I just picked up my guitar and started playing. You know, I'm not a good guitarist.
You got to quit that talk, girl.
Well, yeah.
You're pretty good.
They say you got to practice.
You've always got to practice. It's the same as like anything, really, right? And I think our kids teach us that you have to practice to get better at anything. I've competed in CrossFit, but you still need to practice to maintain, you know, that
you do
fitness. You can't just do it once. You can't just play the
to
guitar
know.
once, right? There's always something. There are always nuances. There's always something to learn.
The brain needs to know it's valuable to you to make those neural pathways.
Right.
So you've got to show it by doing it every day.
Yeah.
And there are famous concert pianists and things that say that if they don't practice for 6 hours every day, they notice that they lose it, whatever. We wouldn't notice. And he said if he didn't practice the next day, the audience would notice. So it's that subtle when you're on that high level. But
wow. Oh, you've touched on so many different things. Let's go right back to like when we first met, right? So you kind of came and said hello to me because you were interested in what I did as a personal trainer. Like you asked me what I did.
Yes,
because that was where you were at with your fitness journey.
I was seeing fit people, but I wanted to say this, that when I first saw you from across the quadrangle, I thought, wow, who's that? Like, because you were glowing with vitality. Like your body was just so muscly and you just looked so alive. And I was like, I have to know you. I have to ask.
Oh, well, Thank you. And so we met, and you lost a whole bunch of weight, didn't you? Like,
I lost 35 kilos over about 2 years.
so part of your experience with that, you talked about experiencing depression.
Yes.
And also like drinking too much, not sleeping, like all of these things compounding. So they kind of all interlink, don't they? It's like, if you feel like shit, you're going to have a drink, then you don't sleep as well, then you feel like shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've kind of unraveled a fair bit of that, right? You stopped taking the medication, didn't you?
Yes, I was on heavy medications for depression and to make me sleep, which stripped me of who I was as well. I was pretty much like a zombie. And there was no spark in me. It's a cruel thing to do, really. But, it's just a Band-Aid.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it's like we can. I was talking to one of my other guests, and he said, what did he say? When the student is ready, the teacher appears, and it's almost like that in life. Like, even if there's not, even metaphorically, it's like you need to be ready to learn the lesson or to see what happened. And and I guess that phrase of hindsight is a beautiful thing, right? Because we can always see things in hindsight. That's what was going on.
We all know what we have to do. We know what we're supposed to eat and what we have to do, but there's this magical elixir or this moment in time or this mojo that you've just got to find, and it doesn't happen, and you think, oh, I'll start on Monday. It never happens because you just can't find it. It's just that if they could work it out, whoever could find that and inject it into people would be rich. But I don't know what it is. It's a mindset, a hormone, a magical thing. But it's what makes you decide to change, to choose to do something different. And then it all unravels from there.
Well, one might argue, and I'm kind of becoming more and more well, I think that this is the thing, like that idea of karma, your lesson, like you continue to learn the same things until you've learned them, right? You continue to experience the same things until you've learned what it is you need to take from it, and then you step into the next thing. It's like that evolution, and that's kind of what we're talking about with you today, is that personal evolution. I kind of want to delve into that idea of when you said that you felt invisible.
Yeah.
And then you lost a whole bunch of weight, and obviously you felt different. And so you probably were, rather than sort of shying away or feeling hidden, you probably were more outward. But when you say that people noticed you more, and you had that, oh, people are noticing me more, how did that make you feel? Were you like, well, they're fuckers, because never
sometimes because I was always there
like, how messed up is this? Or just like a bit of an enlightening moment of like,
it kind of made me feel sad and sorry for myself, because I've been that frumpy, downtrodden woman that no one sees. And it's not just like, oh, men don't see you as, a sexual object, but women don't see you as anyone of any value or vitality or oomph, because you're just someone to push around, or you're not one of on the upper echelon of whatever pecking order there is. It's just they don't give you the time because you don't look a certain way or something, but you're still in there and you can still see them. And I think it's made me just sort of pull back from a lot of people. Somebody said to me recently, you know, once you've been through a lot of shit, you don't suffer fools as lightly. You know, it just makes me see people are quite shallow without meaning to.
Yeah,
know.
recently we took our kids out of school, right? So we're homeschooling. We've been doing that for a few months now. And one of the things that I really noticed is how that kind of pecking order stuff, I feel like a lot of that comes from that kind of environment.
Yes.
Where you're in school and it's just about like who's the best, who's gonna get the best score, like who's going to behave the best, and so you're put in direct competition with other people, right? And I feel like that carries over into our adult life, where we think that we have to compete or we have to be better than. Whereas in fact, I think in our nature, if you look into the true nature of human beings, we're supposed to support and nurture and care for. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like going against the grain of who we are.
I think it's why we're so unhappy, because we're a tribal creature.
Yeah.
And we're meant to be a unit that works together to survive. And yet we're all in our little separate boxes trying to compete with each other for what?
For what? Exactly.
And that's the thing, you and me, we don't want all that stuff. I'm looking for happiness in my heart, in the spiritual realm, not with stuff and having people around me that, I need to like them to like me. I did. I don't know what's happening now. I need for me to like me, I think. Yeah. That's the big challenge.
Yeah. That's the big challenge for all of us, isn't it? And
yes.
I think that's part of our journey, is like coming to terms with who we are, and you kind of get taken along for the ride, don't you, in your early years, and then you hit this age and you're like, okay,
yeah,
what the hell is this all about? Yeah, is this it, or what? And if it's not, what is this all about? And yeah, how can it be different? So you were in a kind of a good groove, right, with your health, your wellness. You were pretty focused on yourself. You were dabbling a little bit in music and that sort of thing. But then you found a lump in your breast.
Yeah.
Which for anyone is going to be scary and life-changing.
Yeah, it's pretty scary because it's the unknown that's scary.
Yeah.
But, these professionals know what they're doing. I was lucky it was only small. They cut it out. It wasn't really that bit. I got an infection after it, 3 weeks after it. Because I loved to exercise at that point, I couldn't wait any longer, so I started to do weights, and apparently that's not a good thing to do. They said the staph infection got me because I was doing weights, which doesn't make sense. And I got really sick, and I ended up in hospital, and it was quite dire for a few days there. So and I think, all the hardcore intravenous antibiotics I was on, and I had to keep pumping out this pus out of my chest that would fill up bags. It was horrible. It was just all the poking, the pain, and I was really, really low and couldn't. And then I kind of stopped exercising. I had radiation after that, and I was burnt to a crisp, and it made me quite depressed again. So it's all been a really slow process to find myself. But while I was exercising and healthy, I felt so alive, and my mind lit up, and I'd started writing songs. And so when I was sitting there, I just started to dabble with the music, and it made me feel better, because I love to sing, and because it does things to your mind. And I just sort of thought, what am I going to do? I thought I could, you know, it could still be in my body somewhere. It could show up again. Just thought, I'm just going to do it. You know, I went along to the open mic night one night, so nervous, like couldn't believe how nervous I was. And I'd sung in public before, but I'd never played in public before, and I'd never sung anything I'd done myself. But I did it. You know, it wasn't great, but people clapped, nothing bad happened.
Yeah, you
And
came
people
out
were
alive.
nice. And I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And it just sort of went from there.
Yeah,
You
cool.
know?
So when you were going through that process with the treatment for cancer, and as you said, you've managed to come through it, and like you've got the all clear and whatnot.
Yeah, all clear.
You said that you know it emotionally really hit you hard, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine that would be the case for most women in that experience. But what levels do you think? Like, what was going on for you? Was it the unknown? Was it like, oh my God, I'm going to die? Was it like, why me? Like, what? Or was there a lot of other things? Or do you think it was like, I don't know, not feeling in control of your body? Or
it's so weird. I feel like sometimes I was on the outside looking. It was quite, the unknown is terrifying, but I have this mind that when something bad is going to happen, I do go into my creative mind and I imagine different things. So going through all the treatment and that, I would go there. And it wasn't until it was over and I turned around and I looked back at the aftermath, and then it was just so devastating to think all that happened to me. And it's amazing how strong you can be, but in a really kind of twisted way. I felt like I deserved it, you know, because I wasn't enough. And this was my punishment.
Wow. That's heavy.
It is. I think I hate that I think that, but that's what was going through my mind. And just things like the radiation, it does things to your mental health.
Yeah.
You know, it's all this shit going through your body. I can't imagine what chemo's like. You know. But the effects can last for years afterwards.
Of the radio? Or
yes, the radiation, and it can come back. I have a friend who had her breast radiated and it burnt some of her lungs. So now she has some kind of a fibrosis about 10 or 20 years after that.
Wow.
So there's all kinds of things that happen. It's sort of like, do I do it? Do I not do it? You know, the medical people want to eliminate the chance of it coming back, that initial cancer, but they're not really thinking about what else can happen. Right. You know, it's like a really immediate thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, here's a pill, you'll be better. It's like, yeah, but what about why am I feeling like this? They never delve into that because, you know, it will take too much time. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. And it becomes very much like you're a number, you're another patient that has to go through the treatment, and it's all very like,
it is. It was. I did feel like I was on a production line, really.
I feel like I could die.
Yes.
and it's just like, this is what we have to do next.
Yes.
Like,
but they do it so much, and they have to be like that because otherwise they wouldn't be able to turn up to work.
Oh my God! Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that when you talked about like it was almost after the fact that it kind of hit home what was going on, and and like how when you're in it, you're just kind of like, we got to get this done, or
Yeah, you
and
do.
you're just kind of following the instructions and doing the things that you've got to do. It's not the same thing, but I think when everyone was going through the lockdowns and all of the, you know, the worry of COVID, and especially people that were in like those really intense lockdowns, and even here, like we got it pretty easy, right, in Belgium, because we, you know, we've got lots of open space, and it's not the same as some people experienced, but you kind of just go, all right, we've got to do it. We've got to hunker down. We've got to follow the rules. We've got to do all of the things. And it's not until afterwards that you go, I don't quite feel quite.
You let yourself feel it.
Yes,
and then
you let yourself feel all of the experience.
When you're going through something, you kind of have to have this warrior pose going on, you know, so that you can do it. This mindset, you know, just keep going, keep going. I imagine that's how a marathon runner feels. You know,
Yeah,
no.
What was that all about? After their 42 kilometers. Well, I guess that and that is a very solid definition of trauma, right?
Yeah, it's definitely trauma.
It is like in your system afterwards. It's like you carry it in your cells, your body, and
yeah. The thing is, we do carry everything in ourselves. We know this from, is it Joe Dispenza?
Yeah.
He talks about that. It's all in there. Every experience that we have, the painful ones,
the thought processes. In there. Yeah, we release chemicals.
More problems.
Yeah.
Unless we can turn it around.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at our notes. So let's talk a little bit about that, because we have, you've kind of got into the metaphysical a little bit. Is it metaphysical? Is that right? Is that the right word? Yeah, like, and that spirituality, as you mentioned, and the Joe Dispenza work, like where he talks about breaking the habit of being yourself. Have you followed some of that material in your, as part of your evolution?
Yeah, a little bit. Actually, I have that book on the shelf. I haven't read that one yet.
Okay.
I've got a pile of books.
It is quite interesting, isn't it? And I would imagine that now that you are singing, and that you've like come through this process of creating an album, that you send in different messages to the cells, right?
Yes.
I think and releasing all the good stuff into the system.
I can't believe sometimes when I play it to myself, I think, wow, that's a really good song. That's a really good album. And I wouldn't do that normally for anything that I make. You know, I'm always down on myself, but I'm a good songwriter, and it's amazing to be able to say that, because I just love them. They're like my children.
Yeah, I love
there's
that.
nothing really difficult or fancy about any of it. And even with my voice, I love to sing. I have a nice voice, but I don't have an amazing voice or acrobatic voice or anything like that. And it really bothered me that, you know, I didn't think I was a good singer and I really wanted to sing. But I've learned to accept that it's like my unique fingerprint, and it's me. And a lady the other day told me that it's real. And I thought, I like that. I'm real.
Winnie and I were listening to your album this morning, and Winnie said, she sounds like Elsa.
Ah, wow.
Which I think is a compliment.
That's a compliment. It is.
And she also loved your outfit with the purple, your purple flares. She was like, I love that. And I love the top.
Oh, wow. I'm a rock
She's fangirling you, Wave.
She is. I'll have to get some cooler clothes.
The whole album. She kept, because I downloaded it from the band camp.
Yeah.
And she was carrying the phone around this morning and listening to the whole album. So
Wow, very nice.
yes.
My first real cool fan.
Yeah, totally. We could sign the CD for her.
All right. I'll have to put the flares on when I do it so I look cool.
Totally.
Whenever I wear those pants down the main street, people stop me. They want to talk about the pants.
Oh, cool.
See, it's a good thing when you exercise and lose weight, you can wear those pants, you know, instead of the old lady front pants.
Oh. Okay, so music. Let's talk about this, because you and I have both, as in our youth, we've had creative aspirations, right?
Yes.
I studied theatre, and I wanted to be an actress. And you have already mentioned that you did theatre. You did a bit of theatre as well, didn't you?
Little bit.
Bit
I
more
always wanted
music.
to be in musical theatre.
Musical theatre.
I
yeah.
wasn't good enough,
You're a
really.
singer.
You know, there's so many people out there who are
Well, do you know what? That's
amazing.
what I want to talk about, is like, I wasn't good enough, because like, where we've talked about this before, like, where does that come from?
Well,
Is it like because someone's told us? Or
well, when
reality
I'd gone for
of it?
audition,
Like, how different is it if someone says, puts you know, shines a light on you and says, I reckon you should do it, go for it, compared to, yeah, you know what, there's so many people that want to be famous, and
well, there's so many people that work at it really hard from a young age, and they're very good at dancing, you know, or they're trained at singing, whereas we were just dreaming, not really working towards it, I suppose. You know, we took the lazy approach. And when you get out there in the real world and you're competing against those people,
there we go.
they do deserve it, because they've practiced in the hard work.
Yeah.
And I realized, I was out of my league, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's also because I was quite shy, you know, and I didn't want to step beyond my own fears.
Right. Yeah. I was a bit more like, I'm not going to compete with these people. Like, what a bunch of trash this is. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do you know, that whole casting couch kind of thing where you have to schmooze, and like, I was like, no,
sell
not
yourself,
doing it.
It feels so fake.
Yes, it feels so fake. It's like, take it or leave it. This is what I got.
But the thing is, how can they know if they don't give you a chance? They would never know. So many people have unique things.
I kind of, there's part of me that's like, well, you know, everything happens for the right reason, and, you know, divine timing and all of that stuff. But on the other hand, like, I should have got that job. Yeah, it's when you really want to do it, like when you believe that that's what you want to do, right? Especially when you're younger, when it doesn't happen, it's a bit of a poop. And like, I guess that's leading into that whole idea of fear, self-doubt, like, what are people going to think of me? Like, where does that come from? Do you feel like, is there any experience that you've had in your life where you've, like, I don't know, been, you know, had people tell you that you're not? Starts with parenting, right? Or siblings, like. I had some experiences with, you know, in my teenage years with bullying, and like, what do you think it is that,
it's what you think. It's what you think the other people are thinking about you. But honestly, they group together and they all want to be the ones that are strong and not the one that's cast out. So they all group together and they think the same, but what they really feel in their hearts might be different. I've always been a bit different, and I wouldn't call myself an outcast because I can fit in anywhere and talk to anyone, but I don't really want to, because most people, to me, I shouldn't say most, a lot of people are very vacuous. I don't know, not very real when they're out in public, and I haven't got time for that. You know, just want to go straight for who you really are. But I think I still worry about what other people think of me, you know, and I think it comes back a lot to the physical thing. I never thought I was very attractive. I don't like people looking at me, you know, even if I feel attractive, I've got something nice on, and then I see a photo of myself, I'm like, oh, I just want to hide. So it shouldn't be that. It's my own perception of myself, really, or my own perception of how I think people are thinking about me. But the truth is, they don't really care. They're thinking about themselves. And it's all just thoughts, and the thoughts are just vapors in your mind. They're not real. They're just going on in that head of yours, swirling around there, just fucking us up, really. So
I know it's intense, isn't it? Because it's like you have all of these thoughts and there's stuff going on in your head. I mean, I have the same experience as well, like about all of the different things, and should I be doing this? What are people going to, like, I have, you know, experiences, what are people going to think? And it's all going around in your head.
it does.
And no one else knows it's going around in your head.
Yeah.
And then
we do it to ourselves.
Weird. It's so weird, isn't it?
That's why I like exercise, because when I get so puffed out, all I can do is concentrate on just getting that air in, and I can't think about anything else. There's so much peace there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can't think about anything else. So let's talk about the how you came to make your album. So like, because you had to overcome, like we've talked about, some of your experiences leading up to it, and it's obviously not, you know, just in the conversation we've had. There's all of the other stuff that's going on that's helped you to create music. Oh, I wanted to ask you, when, you know, I was talking about being younger and being into that, how do you feel about creativity? Because it's like, you know, deep down in your inside that you've had the music in you, right? And you know that you feel at peace when you are writing music, singing, playing the guitar, playing the piano, like. But does it feel, do you think that there's anything, like, I feel like it's other people's perception, and maybe I'm just thinking this in my own head, that it's frivolous to want to be creative.
Yeah.
And not self-indulgent. No, I don't. Frivolous, or like,
a lot of people in the world try and put that label on creative people, but we're not all the same. I am creative and I can't help it. It just keeps, when I try and stick on the narrow pathway, it just sparks out of me here and there, everywhere. Why don't I do it like this? What about this? Ideas keep coming out of me all the time. It's like my brain never stops. And just recently I've been diagnosed with ADHD or ADD, and it makes so much sense to me why I am like this, why I'm flitting around everywhere and I can't complete things, and my brain's got 100 things happening. But I think it's part of what makes some people creative, is the way the brain chemistry is. And we need creative people. I don't think it's frivolous at all. If you took away music for a day from everyone, you know, a movie wouldn't have that emotion. You know, people wouldn't, you know, be angry on their way to work. You know, being creative releases feel-good chemicals in your brain for everybody. If you listen to it or if you create it, it lights you up. And no, I don't think it's frivolous, but I think some people in the world do. It's always that, that dad, son, don't waste your time playing that electric guitar. Why don't you do your maths and go to college? It's like, yeah, but
That's not what
electric
I want to do.
guitar, even if he did go to college, that guitar could be his therapy. It could be his peace, and for me, writing poetry, which ends up as music, really helps me unravel my mind. And it is a therapy, and it gives you peace. And you see a lot of singers write about themselves and their problems, and other people relate to it. I think we need it in the world.
Yeah. And I think, again, going back to like learning things from seeing your kids, we're playful by nature, right? We're creative by nature. And it's like the shift happens when the kids get sent to school, and they're not allowed to be any of those things anymore.
Yes.
You see the curriculum we have to follow, like, or show that we're fulfilling the curriculum, right? So the curriculum for school is like 3 pages of A4 lists of things for English. The same for maths, the same for science. Creative arts has got a paragraph for music, a paragraph for drama, a paragraph for dance, and a paragraph for art.
And these are the things that make us who we are, and these are the things that soothe us.
And it's like
shape our culture.
Yeah. They're kind of secondary things that you've got to do when it's and I feel like that we need to get back to that playfulness and curiosity and joy of life and creativity.
I think humans are a very creative species. That's how we've ended up with all this stuff. How I can talk to you via a computer, and someone's brain was a bit different, a bit creative. So let's talk about how we got to making this album. How did it all come about? Because when I was the last time we saw each other in person, I don't know, it was a while ago, probably maybe 6 months, right? Let's say 6 months. Could have been longer. And you'd done a couple of open mics. You'd joined a band. Oh yeah, just sort of sing
and then
with them every now and then.
It's like, because it was like, oh my God, I'm doing this open mic. I'm in it. And then you were like, I'm doing another one. And then there was the band. And then you're recording an album. How did that come about?
I don't really know.
Did you put it out there and say, this is what I want to do?
No. Well,
or did someone come to you?
I just think I decided I'd really like to preserve these songs because I fear I will forget them, because I don't practice every day and I do forget things. I'm thinking, oh, these are songs I've written and I'm forgetting how to play it. So I thought, okay, there was that. But I kept having a few friends here and there sort of pushing me, just do it, just go and busk, why don't you go and do a tour? And I'm like, what, a tour? I can, hardly tune my guitar. And I'm very sort of lost in that realm. But it was just sort of, I've got to do something to get myself somewhere else. If nothing happens for me, if I don't do anything, nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to change. And I started seeing she was a music teacher in Belgium. She'd moved away at that point, but she was a piano player and a guitarist and singer and a songwriter like me who'd had breast cancer, Marguerite Montez. So she was just a music teacher as such. And I just said to her, you know what, can you help me record some of my songs just so I don't forget? And she said, okay, get practicing. You got to be able to practice. You got to be good. And I went down there for a few nights, stolen moments when the kids were in bed, and recorded them. And it was really daunting, and it was confronting. I was looking at myself. It was very stark. I could hear myself
Mm.
I could see, I was struggling with the guitar, that kind of thing. So we had to work out different ways to do things. Like I would play the guitar or the piano and then record the music over the top. And I felt better because I could concentrate on my singing, and I loved her singing. So she had songs there. We had them. And then what am I going to do with them now? And I thought, okay, let's just do it. And it just sort of got a process. She knew someone who could do the cover art. I had some photos someone took. She knew someone, so she knows people who could make the CDs. And now I guess, I was just reading today that Dolly Parton says you have to go on tour. That's how you sell your albums.
Yeah,
like, oh,
do
great.
it.
I would want to hear it though. I don't know. I haven't had anyone knocking on my door. Just waiting for Taylor Swift to hear my songs and call me and say, do you want to be my, backup or something?
The
Like,
support.
sure.
The support.
Support, that's it. Because they have to have an Australian support when they tour Australia. It's part of the deal.
Okay.
Australian artists. So,
Cool.
I've got a chance. But yeah, I think that's it. But the thing is, I've done it, and I got this CD in my hand, and it's mine, and I did it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what people think. Like a little bit of me thinks, oh, do they think I'm full of myself, etc. But a guy came up to me the other day, a guitarist that I know, and said, "You did it. You did what you said you were going to do. Congratulations. I'm really pleased for you." And that was really nice. So,
isn't it interesting how we can kind of, oscillate between all of this internal stuff about what if I do it, and all of these things, but I want to do it, and like it's like all consuming for a period of time, and then you do it and you're like, that was all right.
Yeah.
That again.
Yeah. I would recommend to anyone that you should just do it.
Yeah.
Because you feel fulfilled, at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
That you did something for yourself.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter if anyone likes it. I'd love if someone did like it, but that wasn't the point. I think the point was coming out of my shell, showing people who I am. People didn't realize I was a musician, because, I would never call myself that, because I didn't think I was enough.
Do you call yourself that now?
I'm not so sure if I'm a musician, but I'm a songwriter. I'll call myself that.
Okay, cool.
I'm proud of the songs.
My favorite song at the moment is the one about the cat. Is it called The Cat?
Oh yeah, the cat song.
I love that. I love the cat song.
The funniest thing is that I come up with that riff on my bedroom floor when I was probably about 20, and I was watching the kids swimming one day a few years ago, and I just wrote the lyrics then.
Okay.
Put it together. So
yeah, I love that.
Take a while.
Love that song. Yeah, it's been a while in process. So we're coming to the end of our conversation, and I want to make sure that obviously people can find your music. So we'll put a link in the notes, because you can download it from Bandcamp, but you can also buy the CD, right? So
you can buy the CD through Bandcamp as well.
Through Bandcamp as well. Yeah, cool. So
but you can listen for free if in case you're just curious.
Yeah, great. Okay, cool. So, but ideally we want people to buy it. They want to listen to it. Come on.
Yeah, it would be nice, and then I can afford to make more.
Exactly. Yeah, and down the track, are you writing more? Like, what's the focus now?
I have a lot of ideas.
Doing the promo tour?
Well, I've got a lot of ideas and things for songs that I want to write, but the thing is, it's like this magical feeling that comes down into me, and I feel like, oh, it's going to come. There's a song. It's going to happen, and sometimes it just happens in like a night. It's if you force it, it won't come. It's a funny thing.
Yeah.
So I have the idea of what it will be, but I need to wait for the inspiration. it's really hard when you got all these things interrupting you, like work and kids. It's very annoying.
Yeah, or like, what if you're just like doing the groceries and all of a sudden you get the download? Like, what do you do then?
You need alone time.
Yeah.
But I have to say, the song Atticus that I wrote, I did that one while mopping the floor of the hospital one night. So it just comes in weird moments.
Yeah.
And I think that one's, everyone loves that one. It's like a nursery rhyme.
Okay. I don't know if I got to that one this morning.
Ah, you will.
I'll check it out. Yeah. Cool. Well, it's been really great to have you here, and a good excuse for us to catch up, and hopefully it will be in person before too long. But I think that I love that, you know, you have had this great personal evolution, and I think we probably could, you know, go down other tracks as to how, like, so many things have kind of come to this point for you. But yeah, it's been great, and I can only hope that those dreams can continue to be followed. And I think it's a great message to other people that you can find beauty in the depths, and you can do the things that you want to do. Music can be a great healing tool.
It is healing. And what I would say to people is, that's what cancer has shown me, is don't wait, just do it.
Yeah, right.
You know, do it for yourself. You know, stuff everyone else. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, because they're all too in their own heads anyway. But yes, music is healing. And yeah, I love it so much.
Yeah, good. Great. Well, let's get some people getting that album. We'll put the link in the show notes. Thank you so much.
I'll wait for it to rise to the top of the charts.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Thank you so much for joining us, Wave. I'll see you soon.
See you.
Bye.